Hi guys, welcome to another Power Plant podcast, and here in my room, late at night, not late, it's late for me, 8:30, talking about today is the topic of choice, whether it affects others and whether you should influence others on telling them how to live their lives. If any of you, know me, you probably know what I think about this. But for the listeners, I think that if someone's choice influences someone else or something else in a negative way that causes suffering unnecessarily, then that choice should be taken away from the person, and they shouldn't be allowed to choose to do that. So, I mean, this happens 3 times a day on people who eat animal products plate. It's unnecessary in that they don't need to eat the animal products to survive, to thrive, to be happy, healthy. There's a necessary amount of pain in everything humans do. I understand that. Every banana you eat, there's some form of blood on your hands, whether it's insect, there's some footprint in the atmosphere. There's carbon, there's water used. Okay, but the thing is, plants in general, there's some resource intensive crops and plants, but on the whole, when you give plants to animals and then you eat the animals, you're actually eating more plants if you choose to eat animals than if you just chose to eat plants. So in that case, it's unnecessary extra suffering that goes on when people choose to eat animal products. What else was there? There was unnecessary when it impacts someone else. So if you saw a dog walking down the street and some human came up and started hitting it, you'd probably shout to the person to stop. Or you'd think that person was a bad person. Or whatever. There would be a negative impact from it. And this is what's happening, it's just that people are disconnected. So if you're a vegan and you go sit with meat eaters at a restaurant, you might think that to yourself, fucking hell, these guys are just disconnected, or they don't care, or they enjoy the taste of it or something. It doesn't matter what their reason is, the outcome is the same, in that an animal has to die, and resources have to be used, and their health has to be impacted completely unnecessarily, and that their choice is impacting another. Their choice is impacting something that it no longer becomes their choice. When someone's choice impacts something else in such a negative, unnecessary way, it no longer becomes their choice. And that's where you have to step in and be an activist and have to say, look, this isn't right. It doesn't mean you have to hold up signs. You can just have a conversation with people, or you can choose to do it in your own way. But I think that's what we have to do. If you're someone who thinks that it's wrong to eat animals, or thinks that it's wrong to hit a dog, thinks that it's wrong to hit a person, then you've got to speak up. You've got to make the connection, you've got to speak up, and you've got to spread it. And this is what I'm trying to do more and more so, with these podcasts, with videos, with general conversation. Had a good conversation today with someone, a teacher, and he's interested, he brought it up, so I gave him the spiel, and we talked about how other people's choices impact others and other things and everything around it, and what are potential solutions for people who don't want to give up meat. And whilst my thought is that I really want everyone to just, why wouldn't you just eat fruits and vegetables when it's better for you anyway? I understand that some people are going to be very stubborn or just not going to do it at all. They're going to continue to eat meat. even like 300 years, down the track, when there's hardly a planet Earth left, if we keep going the way we're going, then there are solutions. There's lab-grown meat, which is not ethical in the sense that you have to take the first sample and then recreate that. You have to take the first sample and then keep going from there, creating a clone of 200 other cows. So there is a certain initial amount of suffering. It's just that it's a lot smaller compared to killing, billions and billions of cows each year. And then there's the plant-based meat, which is obviously more ethical. It's probably a lot healthier. The healthy plant-based meat, without the oils and the salts and the preservatives and whatever that's in there, that can be in a lot of mock meats. But my idea is just steer clear of mock, make vegetables into their own. A lovely veggie dish doesn't have to be shaped like a fish. When I was in Hanoi in 2015, I went to a vegetarian I think it was a Buddhist restaurant, and they had a fish shaped like a fish. The dish was shaped like a fish, and it was made out of mushrooms and beans, I'm pretty sure. And it tasted pretty fishy from what I remember. And I mean, it was definitely plants. But why would you go out of your way to make it look like a fish? It's weird as well in a Buddhist restaurant. Why would people who are against the abuse of animals make something that looks like an animal to eat? For me, just make the dish look like something else, Make it look like a mushroom. Make a dish out of mushrooms that looks like a big mushroom. Not on Mario Kart 64. So, we had a good long chat for like half an hour, and it was great. And I definitely feel as though he's thinking more about his choices now. He was already almost off like the red meat. I mean, a lot of people are, Some people are still like not even past the processed meats and stuff like that. There's a certain culture in Australia with barbecues and sausages that's not helping things, but I would say that there's a step up to where the next level of whatever your journey is on the path towards being completely plant-based vegan, that eating red meat is a step, cutting out red meat is a step on that path, and that he's just eating fish and chicken, and whilst there's no difference between fish and chicken really, ethically at all, and red meat, they're all ethically wrong. Health-wise, there's actually not much difference either. Perhaps red meat trumps all of the meats, and the processed meat is the worst, but fish and chicken are not health foods. Eggs are not health foods. They're bad for you. It's not me saying this, it's just what the evidence is, and I'll just go with whatever most of the evidence points in the same direction. So, if these things are unnecessary, we don't need to have them. And having them in your diet is purely because of taste. And we actually he agreed to that. He's like, I guess it's just taste then. And he wasn't saying it in like a sort of a negative, he was like fully embracing, I guess it's just taste. So I feel like he's definitely on his path. A seed has been planted. And that's what I want to do for this year. I want to talk to more and more people. There's another person at my work. She's Chinese. She speaks a bit of English, but there's a language barrier there, and it's hard to communicate the nuances of what you want to say to someone who's not a fluent English speaker, especially on the topic of something like this, where as soon as you say, look, she'll say eventually, people say it, sooner or later, they say, look, it's my choice. I'll be like, well, it's not your choice when it impacts something else. And when you say that to someone, most English speakers would get like offended, and they'll get all defensive, blah, 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 trying to defend themselves in their position of violence. And when you say that to someone who doesn't speak English as a first language or fluently, then it becomes a bit of an issue, and that can just become, so you've got to handle it in different ways compared to the way I would speak with a fluent English speaker. And that was the day today. Okay, so your choices, when they impact others, I don't believe you should be able to make them yourself if they unnecessarily impact others. Okay? You wouldn't beat your dog, so why would you eat a chicken when you don't have to? If it's just taste and you can't admit it, if it's just taste and you do admit it, then change your actions. If you can't admit that it's just purely out of taste, then you're still disconnected. Thanks for listening. Catch you later.